Okay, let's start with tag aliases. Here on the left side menu, we see the button of the tag aliases, and we can click straight from here. Here you can see all the different tag aliases that you have, and you can select, for example, here we have the view to set to only 10 per row, but we can change it to more or less depending on how much we want to change through the pages of the tag aliases. And we can also search for tag aliases here. To create a new tag alias, we click here on the button on the top right. And then here we can start a calculation or just a tag, and then the alias that we want to give it. So here we can click on the magnifying glass icon to open up our search bar. So let's make a calculation. Let's just make a very simple one just to have as an example. Here we're gonna look for just any tag. We're gonna add to other tag. We're gonna add here on the left, we have all the other calculations that we can have. So to add them to the calc, we just drag and drop as I showed before, and we can connect them like this. It is very important to select the use as final output on the last calculation that we are going to use, just to sort of know that this will be the last of all the calcs that we have. And then we can click save. Here we have how it would look like, and here we can put maybe trial walkthrough, and then we add the tag alias. Now here we can quickly chart it to see what are the values, and we can also change the period that we're charting on this. We can also edit the tag or alias in case that our calculation is changing for whatever reason. What we cannot change is the name of the tag alias. So we have to be very precise with the name that we pick because that doesn't have any change. We can also delete it. And if we click on trend and we look, so we'll be able to find our tag alias under the search, just as any other tag that we have. And this is across the whole environment. So for example, if Miles decides to make a tag alias, then I will be able to search for it and use it for graphs, charts, reports, etc. So it's quite handy when you have, for example, for oil production or whenever you're changing units, etc., and you have a calculation, you don't want to, be copying the whole calculation to use it another time. Then it's quite handy to just make a tag alias and call it oil production or uh, whatever you're trying to save. And then you can just reuse that tag calculation all over as needed. And yeah, and then we can chart it or use it in our dashboards. So that's how to set a tag alias. For the navigation bar, I made this quick example in which we have two pages that we are sort of setting up, two dashboards, and we want an easy way to move through the dashboards within the dashboard itself. So the navigation bar works for this purpose. So we just go to edit mode here on the top right, and then we insert a nav bar. And let's stretch it all the way on the top. and then we go to links on the right side menu. And here we will get, we will decide or set where we want to link this nav bar in particular. We can link it to a page within Ingenuity, or we can link it to an external URL. So this is quite handy. In this case, we can set of course a label that which is what is going to be shown in this button. So we can put production overview as the label, and here we can see now we have that text, and this we're gonna set up to this particular dashboard. So it's in my workspace, and then I select here the name of the dashboard, which is production overview. There we go. And here we can select if we want to open it in a new window or not. In this case, I'm gonna leave this toggle off, and I'm gonna add another link. The next link we're gonna put will be well overview. Well overview, and then this we're gonna link to a page in my workspace, and the page I believe is called all production wells. There we go. We're gonna open in the same tab where we are now, and then let's just leave it as that for now, and let's save. Okay, so now on the top we have this sort of two buttons for the dashboards. Since we are in the first linked to the first option, we will see this in blue. And if we click on the other one, we will be redirected to that particular page within Ingenuity, for example. And the idea for this is that I want to move around between those two dashboards. So what I'm going to do is uh, go back to the first one where we have the menu. And we are gonna add another option. For example, this one's gonna be chemical management, and we are gonna select a page from the main space. I believe it's called chemical monitoring. There we go. If we don't remember the name of the page that we are selecting, if we open this menu, we will see all the pages that are within the selected workspace. So then you can filter it through that, or you can start writing the name and you will get the options. This one, since it's not exactly the same layout as this, I would want to open it in a new window. And let's save it. So if we click on here, it will redirect us to the chemical monitoring page. And here we can see that we changed workspaces and everything. The cool thing about linking it to different Ingenuity pages is that even if we change the space or the folder or the workspace where that dashboard was located, you don't have to go back and relink it or anything. It will sort of follow it around independent of the workspace that it's now in and independent of the name. So if I wish to change the name of this dashboard that I linked here, it's still gonna work. The link is still gonna work. Um, okay, let me see. And now to give it a bit more of a seamless um, uh, image between the first two dashboards, I'm just gonna copy this nav bar. Whenever you want to copy any element from the dashboard or any widget from the dashboard, you can select the widget. You go to edit mode, you select the widget, and then you go to the JSON button. We select text, and then we select all and Control C. This is whenever you're copying to different workspaces or different pages. If you wanted to copy within the same workspace, for example, if I wanted to um, copy this element, I can just select it first and then Control C, and um, it will copy it in the same space. We're gonna leave it as this, and then we're gonna go to the other dashboard that we created, and we're gonna add a nav bar. Gonna make sure that it's the same size as the other one, just to give it a bit of a more seamless look. And then we're gonna get the config from the other one. Mhm. And now we can see that it knows that we are in this link, so it highlights it in blue so that it's easier to follow where we are at. And yeah, that's the navigation bar. We can also create um, a navigation bar. This is more horizontal, but you could also create like a vertical menu of options by simply just adding all the different navbar options, um, one below the other. So that's just a different, it depends on how you want to set it up. The easiest or the most common would be to set it up horizontally as we have here. Um, we can also change uh, the thickness and the size of the letters here, and also the color as well. And we can select from a variety of colors. That's a bit smaller maybe. And another cool thing, for example, in this dashboard, we have this background image. And it's not the case that you can't see the the widget on top. But if you ever have that issue, you can also set up a background color for the nav bar. So you select the nav bar, you go to background, and then we select background color. And you can also add some padding if you wish. So you can select a background color to whatever you wish. You can add different colors, maybe just all the different shades, and you can adjust the opacity here. Or if you already have a predetermined color, you can also just copy the hex code right here and you will get it. So yes, for example. So you can play around with it quite a lot to make your dashboards look the way you want them to look, and sort of modify them in, for example, the company colors, etc. I think the navbar is a very good option for a main page. It is normal to, for example, have different workspaces for different assets. So you could, for example, have here the first asset and then just link that to the workspace for that asset in particular, or link this to a specific report, or you can also link to external URLs. So that's also quite handy.
Okay, yeah. So in this session, I'm going to talk to you about how to build a simple well template that can be dynamically driven from a filter menu. So the first thing here is we've got a simple page I've created, just called it well template. If I just bring it into edit mode, you can see that this is a underlying graphic that we've drawn on the dashboard that contains a few properties that we'd want to template. So the first thing I want it to do is I'll come up to this new asset menu on the left. So I'll press that, and that will allow me to add a new template to my page. So I'll just add a simple well. So just so people are aware, this is obviously our demo system. So the data is simulated, and yeah, they're not real wells. So I'm just going to drag this here, and that is going to add a drop-down filter to my page, and I could add that anywhere if I wanted. I could just drag it down here. For the meantime, I'll just keep it top left. And then top right, I can then look at my settings. So I'll just leave it all as standard. So I could label it. I could apply a default value, and I could go into some advanced properties as well as change the look and feel of it as well. So on the left here, it shows you the existing templates. So if I had multiple filters on my dashboard, I'd be able to configure them individually. So if I wanted to, I could template sort of two halves of a dashboard. One could be well A, another could be a different type of well from a different asset, allowing you to compare. So expanding this dropdown then shows all of the properties and measurements that are related to that well that come from underlying graph database in our system. So here you can see you've got annulus pressure, bottom hole pressure as tags. These are our demos, so it's connected to a demo influx, and then here's our tag name, as well as the corresponding measurement name. So in this case, on this one, for example, oil rate relates to this tag. And then I also have any properties that are related to that. So active, code, create time, description, asset path, the type of the well, what slot it's related to. And then this is read dynamically. So depending on what you have in the underlying database, then this will read that dynamically. And it allows you then to build content using filters and drop downs to then basically, essentially, in this case, we're going to build a well template, which could, in this case, I think on this demo, we did have, I think, 10 or 12 wells. So we'd be able to have a standard display to use on all of them. So the first thing I want to do is I'll just drag a couple of measurements in. So we'll take this annulus pressure A here. If I hover on this one, I can see I can actually add it. It has sort of quick forms we can add it in. So if I use this hashtag option here, it'll just drag it as a value. I'll just put this over to the right. Whereas if I wanted to, I could drag this one here. It'll come as an indicator, so as a traffic light. Or if I wanted to, I could have it populate as a chart. So obviously it's a little bit zoomed in on this case, this dashboard, but yeah, you could quickly sort of drag and drop charts, and then this corresponding button on the far left, it means that if a widget is compatible of rendering more than one tag, then you could use that one to drag it on. So in this case here, if I wanted to, I could add a second tag. So you can see that in red, it got added. But I'll delete that, as that's not what I want to do on this dashboard. I want to keep things sort of fairly simple. So as a first step here, I'll add that annulus pressure here. I'll just resize it so it matches my label. And I've just drawn some corresponding arrows here that can take that there. So I'll press delete. So then if I save this dashboard quickly, let that save. Here it's got LA. Now if I click on that tag here, you can see that it just trends it like any other dashboard would. But now I can come up here and I can select the different wells that are available. So for example, if we switch to well B, you can see that that tag dynamically changed. And then clicking on it here, I can see that the tag has also changed. It's now 02, indicating it's the part of the second well in our system. So I'll just jump back to assets here. So I could do that for other measurements as well. So for example, bottom hole pressure, I can add that one in as well, like so. And if I want bottom hole temperature, I'll add that in like so. I just put that there. And then I could go back later on and make it a little bit neater. So what's also interesting with this as well is, I just bring it back into edit mode, is that if I don't want to actually build from the asset menu here, I just want to use my normal widgets that I have available. So if I wanted to add for example, the wellhead pressure, we wanted to use a pre-configured gauge, I could come over to the widgets section. I could look at my gauge and I could press these three dots, and that's going to show me all the templates that I have configured on my system. So ones that I use the most, essentially. So I'll take this one, just a simple one as an example. I can drag that there and make it a bit bigger, format it how I want. I think I could go back and I could adjust it later, but I think that would look fine for as a starting point. I've got a gauge, and at the moment, if I come up to the settings, it's just configured using static data, so that when you drag it on, it's pre-populated. But I can press this variable button here. So if I press that, I can then select that well. I'd name this filter well, and then I can actually come down here and I can see all the different properties that relate to that. So what's this wellhead pressure? So I just come down and I could select wellhead pressure like so. And if I press save, it then should update. Now, for some reason, I think I've misconfigured it, but it's taking the text value of that one. But yeah, so it means that you can quickly drag and drop different objects of your asset model that normally would live on a different dashboard, and now you're able to build content using that. So another thing that is extremely useful here is if I expand my menu here and I just look at my page tree, here you have the asset model tab. If I just open that in a new window, here if I search well, let's just search well A, for example. I think it's called, or is it, yeah, this one. What did I call it? Underscore A. There it is. If I bring that up here, you can see this is the underlying model that I'm now building content for. So here are all the properties for this specific well. And if I expand this, I've got all of the corresponding historian tags. So now if I want to be able to sort of get that type of context in my dashboard, I could add a new type of widget as well. So I could add an asset type. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just put it over here for now. And I do the exact same thing. So I could come up here and I could say I want my well, but then this time I want to display the code. So I want to pass the code in. And I'll save that. Well, actually, I'll just move that over here. Yeah, just up here. So now if I save this, this is going to bring us extra data into this dashboard at a button click. So now I can click that and it's going to dynamically bring up what we call the common menu. So now you have access to your properties, your measurements, and any documents related to that asset. And these tabs also are dependent on what's in your asset model. So in this case, this one only has properties, measurements, documents, but if you had work orders or alarm and events, then those tabs would pre-populate too, based upon this filter menu. So now if I come up here, I can change that to well D, and you can see that that context menu has changed as well. So I can not only have a process graphic with templated historian tags, I could also template different valves in different statuses. I can also template sort of links into contextualization systems as well. So another thing that you might want to do with this is once you've built a template like this, is you want to be able to link to it from other dashboards. If you have like a well overview dashboard that's giving you a table of all your wells, you might want to create hyperlinks from that page to this template. So what I can do is if I select this well filter here, I can say update URL. So actually, you've seen that update dynamically here. So what it does is it will pass in the variable selection into the URL up here, meaning that from other pages, I could create hyperlinks directly to this template and also pre-select filters. And if I had multiple filters on my page, I could configure that using just these URL parameters up here. But yeah, so I think that's all from me. And that's how you sort of set up a simple asset dashboard. So I'll just quickly summarize it for everyone. So the new feature here is we have this asset tab, which gives you quick access to the tags and properties within our asset model, which then can be used to dynamically drive templated dashboards. It's also really useful because now it gives you sort of quicker access to the tags in your system based upon sort of display name, reference name. So you don't necessarily need to know the exact syntax of your tag. You can now build dashboards based upon sort of you want a bottom hole pressure for this well. So you can easily drag and drop that and you can navigate your model far quicker and build templated displays with also smart hyperlinking between them and also links to our common menu to give you access to documents and properties and related assets or that object within our context menu.